This is the story of a single chess game that didn't just decide a tournament, it changed the destinies of three great players and reshaped chess history forever. In 1911, at the legendary San Sebastian tournament, one endgame would determine far more than a result on the scoreboard. A young outsider who wasn't even supposed to be there. A famous master fighting for one last chance at the world crown. And a genius who would never get his title match. This wasn't just a game, it was a turning point in the history of chess. So sit back, because you're about to hear one of the most dramatic and most overlooked stories the chess world has ever seen. At the start of the San Sebastian tournament in 1911, José Raúl Capablanca was just 22 years old. A young Cuban chess prodigy, brilliant, confident, but still largely unproven on the biggest stage. By that point in his career, Capablanca had one result everyone talked about. In 1909, he had demolished Frank Marshall in a head-to-head match. It was shocking, it was convincing, and it made people pay attention. But tournament chess was different. Capablanca had never won a major international tournament. He had never fought through a full elite round robin, and he had never been tested against the very best all at once. And when it came to the official criteria for entering San Sebastian,
San Sebastian was not an ordinary tournament. It was one of the strongest and most exclusive events ever organized. A closed tournament. No open qualifiers, no wild cards for promising talents. Only the proven elite were invited. Winning here didn't just bring prestige, it shaped the future of World Championship chess. For many, San Sebastian was a stepping stone toward a match for the crown. And a 22-year-old prodigy with no major tournament wins? By the standards of the time, he didn't belong. But Capablanca had powerful supporters. Frank Marshall openly argued that a player who had crushed him deserved a place among the elite. Chess newspapers debated the decision. Fans questioned the exclusion, and pressure on the organizers kept growing. In the end, they gave in. Capablanca was added to the tournament at the last moment. For many of the established masters, this was supposed to be his reality check. They believed San Sebastian would expose him. They were wrong.
Capablanca started the tournament confidently. He didn't look out of place among the elite, calm, precise, and surprisingly mature for his age. But the moment that would change not only this tournament, but the fate of several great chess players, came in his game against David Janowski. At the start of the tournament, David Janowski was 42 years old. He was one of the most feared attacking players of his generation, aggressive, uncompromising, and always playing for a win. Just a year earlier, Janowski had challenged Emanuel Lasker for the World Championship. The match ended in a heavy defeat, and San Sebastian became something very different for him. Not a step toward the crown, but perhaps the last chance to prove that he still belonged among the chess elite. Younger players were rising fast, a new generation was knocking on the door, and in San Sebastian, two eras of chess were about to meet at the same board. Capablanca had the white pieces, but as the game went on, the initiative slowly shifted to David Janowski. Move by move, Janowski built up his advantage, and on move 53, the game reached this position. Modern chess engines evaluate this position as a massive advantage for Black, around 5.5 points. In practical terms, that's the equivalent of playing with an extra rook. At master level, advantages like this are almost never let go. To win the game, Janowski only needed to follow a simple and precise plan. First, check the king with queen to h1, keeping control of the b7 square and stopping white's passed pawn. Then, capture the bishop on e5 with the knight, and finally, convert the position, using his two extra pawns to secure the win. Janowski did give a check,
but he chose the wrong square. Instead of h1, he played e1. Capablanca calmly stepped out of danger. The checks disappeared. And then, with quiet positional precision, Capablanca began pushing his passed pawn on the b-file. What had looked like a winning position for black slowly collapsed, and Janowski was forced to resign. From that moment on, Capablanca moved forward like a locomotive. He went on to win the tournament, a tournament many historians consider one of the strongest chess events ever assembled. That victory opened the door to a world championship match against Emanuel Lasker. For David Janowski, the story ended very differently. He collapsed in the second half of the tournament and finished in 12th place. With that result, his dream of returning to the chess elite was gone for good. But there was a third player whose fate was also sealed by this single game. Akiba Rubinstein played a brilliant tournament in San Sebastian. He finished just half a point behind Capablanca. He defeated the young Cuban in their head-to-head game, and he was the only player in the entire field who did not lose a single game. Before the tournament, Rubinstein was considered the most dangerous challenger to Emanuel Lasker. And yet, despite his performance, despite his consistency, despite his brilliance, he would never get his chance to play for the World Championship.
In the end, this story isn't really about an endgame. It's not about a passed pawn, and it's not even about a single mistake. It's about how in chess, one move can change everything. One move that sends one player forward, toward greatness and history. One move that closes the door on another player's final dream. And one move that quietly reshapes the fate of someone who never even touched the board in that moment. Chess is often described as a game of logic and calculation, but stories like this remind us that it is also deeply human. Behind every position, behind every move, there are ambitions, fears, and moments that can never be replayed. In chess, just like in life, sometimes all it takes is a single move to change history forever.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It really helps the channel grow.